I had a kind of newfound appreciation, maybe for what the Kwanmukan has to offer us, because there was nothing that was shown to me that I hadn't seen demonstrated somewhere in our group. And the thing I would add on to that is our senior people are second to none. They're every bit what those senior Okinawa masters were. So it's kind of an eye opener. I trained with Gojo guys and Shito guys and Wado guys and Shotokan guys, and I learned a little bit from all those guys. There were 20 of us on the trip, but they seemed to be a little bound by what Mr. Anderson called perceptual rigidity. Their styles seemed to kind of define them, and I don't know, I felt maybe a little more fluid. I didn't feel I was better than any of them or anything like that, but there seemed to be a fluidity to what I'm taught that maybe wasn't there with some of the other people. So again, my appreciation for what we do was just enhanced by going and seeing that.
Thank you. Doing a great job of getting us all trying to be all uniform now, all one, instead of all of us going different ways or something. So we're all going to have to be coming one way. And like you said, we're all going to be, we're going to have a Shihan board, and we're all going to be, some of us will be on the board and all that. So if you do have any problems or anything, I'd appreciate it if you would bring it up before the board or our board members so we can address the problem before it gets out of hand, whatever problem that may be in that. And is there any questions any of you would like to ask me? First of all, I don't live up here anymore. I live 1,000 miles away in Florida. So, yeah. So, how many Ohio State fans do we have here? Okay, I'm down with Tebow. So that's all I hear. He walks on water. Jesus. So I'm glad to get back up here with Ohio State fans again and all that. So if there's any questions that you would have about where I come from, who I've been with, or anything like that, please feel free to ask me. First of all, I started out in 1965 with LG Kim at Falls Y. Then went with Mr. Anderson, became my teacher in about '68. And then when we left Mr. Kim and started our own organization, the Central Taekwondo Association, I think it was what, 72 or 3, we went. So I've been, and I became Mr. Anderson's senior student and all that. So I've been with him since basically 1965 and that. So I'm familiar, I've been with him all over the world. I've traveled everywhere with him as a coach and in that. And I've met a lot of interesting people, same as Pat, all over the world and that. And so we're all trying to bring a little bit of this information to you guys, like Mr. DeLeon here, Mr. Keppel's coming in, Mr. Pizer has a lot to offer to us and all that. So we've come a long way since 1965 and what we've done and what we've expected to do. So as far as the Kwanmukan goes, we're going to try and stick it together and do what Mr. Anderson wanted us to do. We're not going to do everything the way he did it, but we're going to try and keep it together and keep the organization going. Because after we're gone, we got the third generation. So a lot of you people are going to be the third generation, and so you're going to have to see how we run this. You're going to have your own ideas, but the basic thing is to keep the Kwanmukan going. That's what Mr. Anderson wanted. That's what he lived for. So without further ado, I'll let Pat take over and we'll address whatever's on the agenda. Yes.
Who were not here the first hour? Raise your hand. How many people? Okay, because I'm going to move fast with the stuff we covered the first hour because it's going to be duplication for some of the people we have. All right, first thing is June 19th, we are doing a jiu-jitsu competition. It is actually jiu-jitsu and grappling both. If you did not Federation, that's the national governing body for the JJF, which is the Jiu-Jitsu International Federation. We have some things going on this year that are of interest. One is the Open Tournament in June that Mr. Hickey talked about. That is really a preparatory tournament for the Pan American Championships, which are in Mexico City at the end of July, and the World Championships, which are around Thanksgiving in St. Petersburg, Russia.
There will be some referee courses right before that event, and we're gonna try to put together a more comprehensive JJF type referee course before that if we can, sometime early June. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in the jiu-jitsu world, and if you haven't been involved in it, it's a great time to get involved, because first thing, it's a lot of fun. You know?
Well, you know, if you know the JJI fighting system, stand-up fighting, and you go to the ground, right? Okay, well, they're also doing grappling competition, which is really just part 2 and 3, which is really throwing and taking to the ground, okay? Almost like a judo match, with different values on the rules. So there's also that aspect to it too. So you don't have to do the punching kicking aspect to participate in the tournament. And the refereeing certification is separate for the guys who do what they call the grappling now, as opposed to the guys that do the whole fighting system.
Yeah, there's really 3 different types of events. There's JJF fighting, which is part 1, 2, 3, stand-up fighting, throwing, and then groundwork. Judo, which is parts 2 and 3, basically. Without the philosophy, in some judo tournaments, you know, it's an ippon wins, and in the judo competition that we do, ippon happens, you get back up, you keep fighting, so it's more fun. And then the grappling thing is, which is through another organization. They have some strange rules, but I will be learning them myself, and then I'll be passing them on to everybody, and of course then we'll be the experts in it.
Is that similar to collegiate wrestling? I mean, is there any significant?
It is not really. It's closer to like what the different grappling organizations do, you know, which is a lot more oriented towards Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, scoring towards specific things that Brazilians would do.
More like no gi.
Here's what happened. Yeah, they're going to be gi and no gi events at this thing. Here's what happened. Okay, grappling started getting going, and all of a sudden the lights went off for USA Wrestling, the lights went off for USA Judo, the lights went off for USJA, the lights went off for USJJF, and the lights went off for a few other people, and they all realized that there's money in grappling tournaments. So now you have flooded the whole country, all over the place, with grappling tournaments, and everybody's trying to get market share. Okay, we're with the USJJF, they're going to introduce grappling in there because they're not getting enough on just simply the jiu-jitsu, so grappling becomes a means of trying to develop a feeder system and an interest system. So you're going to see more, more grappling type activities at martial arts events because sometimes you get more grapplers in for tournaments than you do for karate people. It used to be the other way around. So it's become the fad. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu did that, and everybody's trying to say, wait a minute, we do that too. We just have our different brand of it. So everybody has a little difference on the rules. Okay? But essentially, it's grappling. It's all, whether it's wrestling, whether it's judo grappling, jiu-jitsu grappling, it's grappling, where sometimes you can lock with your legs and sometimes you can't, or you can do this, you bar, some you can't, although, bar, just depends on the rules system.
Yeah, the pure grappling stuff is very much oriented towards ground. Although they do score throwing, they don't score it high, so none of the people get good at it because you only get 2 lousy points, but you get 4 for certain positions on the ground, and then you transition, you get more points, and you transition again, you get more points. So that, the grappling is more, let's get on the ground and tussle, which is easier to get people that come from a wrestling background. They're used to, let me be on the ground, let's transition, let's do that kind of stuff. So hopefully what we can do is we can bring some people from USA Wrestling into that program, then they see the full program of JDI fighting and go, well, that looks cool, I can learn to do that. And then maybe we can actually, field some world caliber teams and win some gold. So there's my 2 minutes.
Ben?
That was 5 minutes.
Okay. Ben Davion from Wisconsin, if you haven't met him before, he's a coach at USJJF, the national coach. He also is heavily involved in training martial art MMA fighters, and he has some MMA fighters that have been ranked nationally and internationally for that matter.
Yeah, most of you were here before, so I'll make it real quick. And if you have any questions, you can just ask me after. But I train MMA fighters, amateurs and professionals. I have a number of regional champions. I have a regulation cage in my dojo. I have a combat room, and I train men, women. I have a woman that's number 8 in the world at 135 pounds. I have a 205-pounder, that's a champion, a 170 pounder that's a champion, it's undefeated, it's 10-0 right now, who was actually on Team USA and fought about 3 or 4 weeks ago versus Canada. And then he's going into the Motorola Arena in Illinois there against Team Ireland. So MMA is really the hot thing right now, but it has some drawbacks. And if you have any questions on it, just we'll talk about it after because we already went through that already.
Okay, Sheriff Sheehan, Larry Overholt.
SS, he called me SS.
Yes,
Or Sheehan Sheriff.
any event, he's running the PSDI, law enforcement, whatever actual name we actually create for that and how we put all that together. So, you know, he's going to explain a little bit about what we're doing. I already gave you a little bit of idea of a background to it, but he'll give you a little more detail.
Thanks,
Oh, okay, one last thing. Also, the Taiho Jitsu, anybody interested in Taiho Jitsu rank goes through him.
Thank you. You know, I did want to, I talked about this a little bit earlier, but let me explain to you just briefly why we changed this from police self-defense to professional, personal self-defense, is because there's professional jealousy in law enforcement. There really is. And you get the police, they don't want to go to the things that the sheriff do, the sheriff doesn't want to do things that the police does, and it just, at times, it's really a problem. I remember when I first started in law enforcement, one of the things that stunned me was the fact that they didn't get along. The police didn't get along. They just didn't get along. The police wouldn't tell the sheriff what they were doing, and the sheriffs wouldn't tell the police what they were doing, and we'd stumble across each other during the investigation, find out this guy's working on. Well, anyways, I don't want to go that. It was a mess. And Rick, you probably know that. Rich, you probably know that from just having been a prosecutor, how that happened. However, we made it LE, law enforcement, which simply means that covers all of it, including the rangers and everybody else, law enforcement. So that's the reason why we did that. Without going back into this thing with the too much into the firearms, I'm trying to get that set up. I belong to 2 ranges in Ashland County. I belong to the Ashland Rifle and Pistol Club, which is a smaller one, and the Ashland Gun Club, which is, they got 5 pistol ranges, and they've got 3 rifle ranges from 100 foot to 300 yards, and they've got a shotgun and a trap range. The problem I'm having with that right now is we want to do this on a weekend. And on the weekends, when they have all their activities, they have IDPA shoots, but I shoot an IDPA, and long-range rifle shooting, everything happens on the weekend. And by the way, they have a 250 members, and they come down, most of them are from Cleveland, Akron, this area up in here. And it was started by a group out of Cleveland. And, but it really is a nice organization, a nice group, extremely safety conscious. What else was I going to say? In PSDI, you know, Carl Wilcox down in Asheville is really, really strong. And we've been kind of letting him work on the law enforcement end of it, bringing it up down there because he has approval for the program that he has. It's approved by the Attorney General. I've seen a letter approving the program that he has for law enforcement. He really, really has a good base. Now, the problem we've had lately is Carl's not feeling real good. He's had, you know, he was in a real serious accident, and he's had several operations, and he has to have another one. So that's just been slowing some of that action down there. But he has a couple of really, really good people to assist him. So, having said that, I don't have any more to say. Do you have any questions? I will let you know when I have that finalized, yes, Leslie.
Is this the accident he had about 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Just complications?
Yeah,
from it?
complications.
Just back problems that still exist from that.
With enough time, advanced time, is it feasible to do one of the programs with the shooting firearms on a weekday, like a Friday or a Monday?
I could.
Because if there's enough advanced time, maybe some of us could also be able to take a vacation day to participate in something.
I can get that set up on a weekday pretty easily, just about any time. Right now, I'm trying to set this up for September, towards the end of September. So
We're better off on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I understand, but I'm just saying that if enough people could commit several months in advance to participate on a weekday, that can at least then allow people, allow some of us to plan a vacation day or day off to participate. That's what I'm saying, because sometimes a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks before is difficult, but several months ahead may be feasible.
Let me give that some consideration.
I would suggest that maybe you need to hear from some of us
Okay.
should communicate, if we could do that several months in advance.
We'd have to have a farm majority, because because this thing is gonna be tied in with their certification, so we need to put that on a date we get the maximum
I
amount.
got you.
This is not a type of thing that you can
I
afford
think
to
the
do
best thing
twice.
you can do is find out what days are available, what month, and then bring that out, and then then we can go from there. If you can get a Friday, fine, you get Saturday, if it's a Monday, whatever, find out what. You're not gonna teach grappling on the ground, are you? That's exactly what he asked me. And we said, no, we're gonna teach you standing up as much as possible. Well, the Gracie brothers have been trying to get him down for some time. And he didn't want that kind of training. I thought you should be aware of that for law enforcement. They want to learn to do as much as they can on standing up. But I will tell you this, I ended up on the ground many times. But that's just what happens a lot of times in a fight. But he wanted his men taught standing up techniques as much as possible.
Taiho Jitsu.
Tahoe Jitsu, as much as they can do standing up before you go to the ground. I thought you should be aware of that.
Designed to promote the Kwanmukan. Okay, and probably a little bit more promoting as opposed to informational. I'd say it'll lean more towards that direction. If anybody has any suggestions or wants to give you know, on the website, please
Do
send
you
them.
have a guesstimate on how much that costs total?
Not yet. Probably depends upon how many surgeons we want to pay for. I haven't really investigated the cost of that. See, the thing is this is what you guys didn't know, is you pay black belt testing fees, and George Anderson will spend some of those testing fees on precisely this. But if we take the testing fees and invest them back in you, we don't have the testing fees to do the other. Now, we can put the testing fees into just paying the promotion of the website, putting all the dojos on it, or we can take the money and put it into your training. Which way would you guys rather have it? How many want it in your training? There's your hand. Nodding your head doesn't get the same back. Okay, you get the idea. It's a no-brainer.
Put your hands back up again, come on. All those hands.
All right. So again, you know, this all is going to happen over time, and obviously, get the loan paid off, then there's more money available to do some of this stuff, and we've had some discussions about how to deal with that. So this is our goal. Okay, and you know, this is to make the organization work for everybody. Somebody else said something, Rich, you had
That's kind of a loose question, but as you try and make the organization grow, you mentioned the USA NKF Life membership. I remember years ago, an annual fee, a Kwanmukan annual fee that was added once in a while, but is that a revenue stream?
It is
Or is
something
it
that's
too
going to be
difficult?
brought up at the Shihan meeting, probably under new business, because somebody wants to bring it up. We don't know if the timing is right for that, whether people are ready to do that, and we'll support that. Right now, we have people paying testing fees, we have people paying, you know, which go to the dojos, we have people who pay, the black belt fees, which the Kwanmukan actually gets part of. So, I mean, our budget for the Kwanmukan itself, what we run off of is only on the black belt fees, okay? Whether we, because people are paying this other money, whether to try to, because it wouldn't make sense unless there was enough of an income stream coming in from that to even deal with it. If I'm only dealing with 20 or 30 Shihans paying the dues, but then if I gotta try to get everybody to do it, and so Harrison tried it before, and how many of you guys wrote a check to him before? If you didn't write it, so that's good. But would you do it if we had an annual dues?
Show
Yeah,
hands.
we used to.
Well, that's how much it is.
You know, what's a reasonable dues?
That's why I was wondering about when you said the
Well, yeah,
lifetime.
I'm waiting for an answer to my question, what's a reasonable dues?
What do you get back for it?
Huh?
What do you get back for it?
Belong.
Well, that's my next question. First, I want to find out what you guys think is a reasonable amount of money.
It depends on what you get back for it.
Well, then why don't you guys, let's say you guys said $25, I was gonna say, what do you want for $25?
I'd rather see-
Because that's my second question.
I'd rather see it invested in the training as opposed to a newsletter.
Mhm.
So if we're getting the training and the opportunities, which I think are, I mean, they're eye-opening to me, the opportunities that you've already presented, the opportunities to train with different Shihans, different dojos, those kind of things and the things that you have on the board. So that's a tremendous value, so. You know,
Well, the thing is,
what's reasonable, I don't know, 50 a year, you know, a couple $100 a year isn't.
But the thing is this, is somebody has to take the time to produce that. And if you're gonna produce, like this, you said, newsletter, which probably shouldn't be done, because really, I'll talk a little bit about our social networking, which really does replace that. You know, somebody has to spend the time in that, and that person that does that time is a volunteer. So the thing is this, is that if the money's coming in, to use it to feed back patches or do this kind of stuff and all that, somebody's take the time to do all that. I'd rather see an annual dues at a low amount of money, which produces some income that we can actually use for something, than to have to get a higher amount of dues, and then have to, you know, because ultimately, we're gonna get to the point where we're gonna have to pay for a secretary. Because I don't, you know, I mean,
That's why I didn't promote a newsletter.
well, what we've done is we've done a lot, if you're not getting email, we need to know. We've done a lot of information out by email, we send out a list of the classes, at least once or twice a month that the dojos have. If your dojo hasn't told us about your classes, I can't make it up, you gotta send it to me, I send an email to all the Shihans, tell me the classes that are available, those that responded, got them in. If you don't see it in there, the guy didn't respond. Okay, I'm not gonna babysit. We have a list of events that we support from organizations. We try to show you which ones are Kwanmukans, which ones aren't. I have, as a courtesy, listed as Kwanmukan events, those that are dojo specific and business activities of a dojo. Or some, you know, there's a few that are there that are simply Kwanmukan activities where the money would just go to Kwanmukan, okay, as opposed to the dojos. So the dojo runs something that's a dojo specific thing. That's a, you know, we're finding that people don't go to dojo specific things. Just people in that dojo and a few other people go. You know, we did do the sensei training, which kind of did not really create the interaction that we were looking for. And, you know, kind of it's hard to go on when you're getting 6 or 8 people show up and it's all your own students. So those were specific to whoever we did the agreement with. Unless you guys are going to raise anything else, we're going to have to move on to the Shihan meeting.
Mr. Hickey, if you don't mind if I make a comment? That is, I just want, just to remind everybody, with all this being said, just, you know, the depth of what we do is just, you know, absolutely phenomenal. And the opportunities that, of course, you know, we're developing as a result of Mr. Anderson all these years, but the fingers in so many pies in the depth that we have is just really incredible. And I don't know if anybody can say that the system that they are part of represents the same magnitude that this does. And this, in the way, and the leadership that we see here, what's going to happen for the future is just really absolutely incredible. And boy, it will satisfy anybody's thirst.
If we can come anywhere near close to give you guys what we got, it's going to be great.
Right.
All right, let's, thank you for all.
Hey!
Thank you for all coming.
I've had a couple of extra pass the fence forms.